Okay, in this video, we're going to grow our example of methods, and we're actually going to write a method that accepts parameters into that method. So in this example, I'm going to write a method called add numbers. Let's do that, right? And we'll delete these, right? Okay. So add numbers, I'm going to have it accept two integer variables. So in my parentheses, I declare the type and name of the variable that are going to get passed into this method. So I'm going to write this method to accept two integer values, int num1 and int num2. Okay, so now when I read this, I can see that the arguments, when somebody calls this method, they need to pass it two values, two integer values, right? Now, in this method, I can use num1 and num2. They're available to me. So I could declare a new, variable sum, and I can say sum equals num1 plus num2. And we can print it out. So the sum is, and I'll print out sum. Okay, so now this method takes two numbers, it adds them and stores the value in a variable called sum and prints the sum out. So now let's call this method. So how do I call a method that accepts two values? I write the name of the method and then I pass it two numbers, 2 and 3, right? Okay, I could pass it to variables, I could pass it to numbers. Now, when I call this method, it's going to pass the 2 in to variable num1 and the 3 in to variable num2, and then it's going to add them and print out the sum. So let's run this program and see if it actually works. And sure enough, it prints out the sum is 5, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. Now, I could have also had some variables in here in x and y, right? And I could have said x equals 2, y equals 3, and then I could have passed x and y here also, right? The variable names you pass in and the variable names declared in the method itself do not have to be the same, because we just illustrated I didn't even need to pass a variable here. I could just put a 2 right in there, right? I could pass a constant. So this method, add numbers, knows nothing about your variables x and y. The only thing it knows about are variables num1 and num2, right? So if I make this call, a 2 is going to get replaced here, and a 3 is going to be replaced here, and then num1 will hold 2, num2 will hold 3. So let's run this code. And again, we get the sum is 5. Okay, so this example covers a method that accepts parameters, in this case, two integer values, and then returns nothing. We're going to grow upon this in the next video tutorial.